Hi, Michelle Garside. How you doing?
Oh my gosh, are we live right now?
We're live right now. Okay. Well, I know Michelle because I was her sponsor in OA, and this was like, I don't know, 5 years ago. 5 years
Yeah.
ago? 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been like super transparent. I'm transparent about everything, apparently. But you know, you learn a lot about someone when you're their sponsor. And Michelle, you are as special and as deep and as wise as they come. I'm so happy
Oh
to
my
have you here. And I've been so um, moved to see how your family's growing. You relocated in the middle of the pandemic.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
your business is thriving, and I wanted to have you on because for many reasons, but the mom curious crowd is like, they're ambitious women who want may or may not want children, and you've always been so forthright about your experience, and you've always been soulful
Ah,
in everything that you do. And I thought you'd be just like a really just beautiful mentor of sorts, as you are in your real life. So would you introduce yourself?
yes. First of all, let me just say, Daniela, oh my gosh, I am so happy to be here with you, to see you. I just love you so much. I am just so honored, and more than anything, just so grateful to be with you right now. I adore you. I love you. I feel very blessed. And yes, hello everybody. My name is Michelle Garside. I am a mom of two, Riker Bear and Jordy B, a 4.5-year-old and an 8-month-old. And I am the founder of Soul Camp, the adult sleepaway camp for the soul, and also Soul Camp Creative, a full service branding, design, development agency specializing in the transformational space, and do a lot of other things. Also, just got back from leading 18 women in Sedona, taking another group to Hawaii,
Oh
doing
my God.
a lot of clearing, energy work, all that good spiritual stuff. But my favorite role is creating community right here where I'm at with my family, and also with like-minded people like you, Daniela. So I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having
I'm
me.
I'm I'm so happy to have you. I didn't know that you've now moved into the healing space yourself. I know that you always have taken your business savvy and facilitated others in healing,
Yeah.
communities. But I are you now in this role of healer?
I'm a healer. That's like the
Yeah, well, that's
ongoing joke with my business partner. I'm a healer. It's interesting. I just got off a therapy session, literally right before this,
as you do.
as I do, and I was talking about this because I in my business, right? What I do is I create the brand of who you are, who you're for, how you're differentiated, what we're calling you, tagline, mission statement, how this brand speaks, the personality of the brand, what we're calling your offering. All of this unique, authentic, genuine language, verbiage, content as it relates to what you're here to do. And it always fit under that container of, oh, I'm a brand strategist. Clearly, like, this is what I do. This is what I'm here to do. And along the way, I got trained as a oneness facilitator. I studied in India for a month at the Oneness University. I have different modalities that I tap into, but I never, ever, ever, ever saw myself or felt comfortable in any other container other than brand strategist, so community gatherer, CEO, founder, and it really wasn't until Sedona, when it had nothing to do with business, right? These women were not coming to build their businesses, build their brands, get out there on Good Morning America. That's not why they were here. They were here because they had some shit going on. They were here because they were in the mud. They were here because they wanted to transmute, transform, translate their trauma over the last few years into something new, something different, something valuable. And so I just put my hand up. I did it with the retreat with my business partner, and also with Lucy Osborne, who is runs a practice called Intensati, which is a cardio practice. Yes, she's Patricia Moreno's partner. And we did it together, and it was just like, okay, Michelle, so you'll lead these few 2-hour sessions. And I was like, okay. And in my head, I was like, what the hell am I going to be doing? Because Allie is a Tibetan bowl sound practitioner. Lucy runs Intensati, mind, body, spirit connection. What am I going to build a tagline? Like, what am I going to be doing? And so I had a lot of my own, self-imposter syndrome, fraud. Who am I to say that I'm holding space for these 2 hours? What am I even going to do? Like, I can talk about my, story and my drug stuff and my food stuff and my alcohol stuff, but like, what am I going to do? And
I'm here for that too, just for the record.
Hey,
let the record state.
I'm always here for that. But, and
it's very healing, actually. Stories are very healing.
Oh my God. I mean, absolutely 100%. That's like what I'm here to do, is help others be able to tell their own stories. But anyway, so for the first time, really, I led guided visualizations. I did some inner child stuff. I did some future self stuff. And I did Diksha, Oneness Blessing. It was amazing. It was profound. And I realized I'm a healer.
Yeah, Michelle, you are. Mazel tov. Yeah.
Thank you. It felt like the bat mitzvah of my soul.
Yeah. Fun fact, I'm just learning now how to read Torah so that I can get bat mitzvahed.
Wait, you're not bat mitzvahed?
I mean, in like Orthodox Judaism, girls don't read from the Torah, which is so funny because, you didn't even realize that. So, my friend who's a rabbi is teaching me, and I love that bat mitzvah, like that was a bat mitzvah for your soul, that you were the, it is a mitzvah to have held space the way you did, and to be brave, to say like, wait, you guys trust me. I'm just going to borrow your trust in me and trust myself. And you did it. How long was that retreat?
It was 5 days in Sedona. We stayed at this incredible resort called Enchantment. We had 18 women, and it was profound. And more than anything, I left with a new understanding of myself. I left transmuted truly into something new. And I'm just still in that discovery process of what that is. And I just said to my therapist, I was like, I just feel so grateful that I'm so young. I'm 38 years old. Like, I have life is so long. Like, I get to now uncover this whole new moment for myself. How grateful I feel. Anyway, those are all the things that I do. As of today, who knows? As of today, who knows where I'm going?
It's so clear. Like, even just talking about the sponsor situation, I don't sponsor anymore, but I found that to be so personally fulfilling. It is so fulfilling to do good, so fulfilling to be useful and helpful and to connect deeply with people. I mean, I think that something that you and I both share is that we're good at fluff. Like, we're definitely good at partying and dancing and cheerleading, but there's nothing like a soul connection. There is nothing like real deep dive conversation.
Yeah, and Daniela, you are that. Like, you walk through life as that. You don't even need to think about it. Like, everywhere you go, you are that connection for people. It's impossible to not feel that with you, because you're a walking heartbeat. It's like you are just so that. And I know how many people, and especially your listeners who are listening to this right now feel so connected to you, feel so just like they know your heart, and it's because you allow people to. And what a blessing that is to walk through life in that way.
Taking that in.
Yeah.
Really taking that in. Thank you. Yeah. I think part of the trust that I've built over the last, this will be in season 3, so over the last 3 seasons with this podcast, is that like we get to ask the hard questions with people who are willing to share, you know, for the hope that the next, I don't know if it's the next generation, but the next leg of women and mothers don't have to necessarily learn the same lessons. They'll learn different lessons.
Yeah.
But believe me.
I was talking, you know, my mother is here and she was like, that could be a whole other podcast, but
no, this is the podcast. This is it. This is what we're gearing up for.
This is it. So my mother is here and she said something to me just like off the hook of like, wow, you're just so much more at ease with Jordy than you were with Riker. And I was like, yeah, I was in full postpartum depression with Riker and had gone off my antidepressant. I'm on Zoloft. Thank God for Zoloft. And
thank Hashem for Zoloft. Really, God.
My God. Seriously. And that is like the biggest lesson I remember. I was walking around the Upper West Side after having my first, so disconnected from myself, so disconnected from him, so disconnected from all of it. And just like feeling like, is this what motherhood is? And I am just so grateful. I had a friend who was like, Michelle, go to your second. Like, why you don't need to suffer. Like, you don't need to be in this space of suffering. So I always say that to new moms if I feel like they are where I was, which is just a really, really scary, sad place. You don't need to stay there. You don't need to stay there.
It's funny because we have talked to several people about postpartum depression. Some, you know, and I think there are a bunch of different ways to medicate and deal with and address. And we've talked about psilocybin, we've talked about cannabis, but we have never had the conversation about how truly transformational pharmaceutical drugs can be for the motherhood experience, how safe it is for breastfeeding. My God, I just really had a wave of relief just now.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, medicine. You know, I had to say, you know, God, and I had to say this to myself, like I was with my first so much in the New York City wellness cleanse colonic world, that like I had so much guilt and shame around medication back then. And it saved my life. God made medicine.
God made medicine.
Yeah. And like, you don't need to suffer on green juice. You don't need to try to green juice your depression away.
No, you don't need to sage it away. Sage is not going to take away postpartum depression, baby.
No,
sage is not going to do it. No amount of Palo Santo, no chanting.
Literally, there is no hare, you know, there is nothing that will take away true disease in that way. In my opinion, in my personal experience.
And it doesn't take away from doing the deep work.
No.
You know, for me, I tried antidepressants and it didn't work. So I went a different route. But let me tell you, I tried. Yeah. And I do think that I experienced a lot of relief on antidepressants, and mostly the lesson was you don't have to suffer. I don't know who put the chip in our brain. That we need to suffer, that it's just part of the deal, that no. That's not what life is about, guys. If you're in the middle of suffering and you think that it's productive in some way, I don't think it is.
And that sense of suffering, you know, like I realized was so in me, right? Like work is supposed to be a challenge, a struggle, like getting to the top, motherhood, same thing. And it was like, what if it could be easier? What if I use the things that were at my disposal, like to make my life easier? And it takes an untangling of identity, of martyr, right? Like, which I so had, which was like, I'm gonna white knuckle this. Like, I'm gonna figure this out. And like that, you know, one of my favorite quotes ever is rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. Rock bottom became the solid foundation. And so I had hit such a rock bottom after my first. And I'll never forget walking around 69 between Columbus and Amsterdam, being like, I don't know if I could, like, this is horrible.
Yeah.
And went on Philosophy. And everything shifted for me. And whatever that is for you, if it's not Zoloft and if it's something else, but I just want to be at such a stand and a voice for eradicating the shame as it relates to medication.
I want that too.
Yeah.
I want that so badly. I take medicine. I take 2 medications for my thyroid, and I have since I was 18, and it's kept me alive. Yeah. It's literally made life from my body. I mean, thank God for modern medicine. Thank God for modern medicine. I don't know what this bizarro, like a cucumber isn't gonna do it. Celery juice is not gonna enjoy the celery juice, but that's not a proxy for like medicine.
I know. And like in this world, and again, I speak from this world, but like in this world of like Goop and Juice Press and all of these amazing things.
Amazing.
There is, or I have felt this, like there, you know, the quote unquote, the natural way is the only way.
Right. Oh my gosh. Or when people call like, vaginal unmedicated labors natural birth, you're like, excuse it's in what world is any birth unnatural? Bizarre. So bizarre. But so I'm with you, and I appreciate you, and I'm echoing your sentiment that we need not suffer, that medicine is here if you need it, guys. It's here if you need it.
Amen.
You did mention the transmuting and the translating of the past few years, the COVID years, right? Yeah.
The COVID years.
What went on for you?
So the COVID years were pretty wild. So back in March 2020, very soon I got COVID then. And then very soon after, my husband's company, by the way, I don't know if you know this, Daniela, but speaking of this whole world, like he's this
Sakara.
I know.
The delicious food.
Yeah.
Delicious. Sign me up.
Yes.
Let's do a partnership.
Okay.
Don't worry. I already clocked that. I was like, yeah. Okay, go on.
I have a code if you need it.
Okay, great.
So his company was like, we're not coming back to work. Like, we're not coming back to the office. We are remote until January. And back then, I was like, what do you mean? 2 weeks to flatten the curve? Like, January? This is crazy. It's 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Aren't we all watching Cuomo? And
I was
back then. And Eric was like, we have to leave. And I was like, oh, is this the time that we're going to a 2-bedroom in Cobble Hill? And he was like, no, we have to like leave for a house with a yard. And I was like, a house with a yard? And so literally off of Zillow.com, sight unseen, we picked the house in Connecticut because we couldn't go because we were like the epicenter of the pandemic. And we moved to Fairfield, Connecticut in what was supposed to be a 6-month move. We got a house with a yard, the whole thing.
You rented or you bought?
You rented.
Okay. With your one child at the time, right?
One child at the time who was literally, it was like, we had 1,000 square foot apartment, which I thought was a big apartment.
Huge.
But once I was working there, Eric was working there, and my son was on Zoom with the JCC, like not big anymore, not big anymore. So we moved, and very soon after realized, oh wait, like this is a global pandemic, like we might be in this for a while. So we were like, all right, let's just stay until we can go back. And then after a year, it was like,
Wow.
oh wow, maybe we're not going back. And we got a dog, and it took me a really long time to be like, I'm living on a cul-de-sac. Like, what is this? But after a year, we realized, okay, wait, maybe this is the time. So we bought a big house out here with a pool. Daniela, you have to come with the kids.
I can't wait.
It's amazing.
I can't wait. You throw the best parties.
I really do. And we stayed. So that was one thing going on. But as far as the trauma, my mom got COVID, and the COVID went to her brain. So, for so many people, the COVID goes to your lungs, and that's what we hear about all the time, right? The ventilators and everything. But for my mom, the COVID went to her brain. And because she has slight mental illness, a little bit of bipolar, like no big deal, like don't we all? But when the COVID went to her brain, it exacerbated what was already there. And so for 3 full months, she exhibited as schizophrenic. So she was inpatient at Yale. It was the hardest time of my life, because every other day I was at Yale. She was hallucinating. She was restrained. It was literally crazy. And so that was going on. And yeah.
While you were at Yale, that's in Connecticut. So that was close by to your house, but your son was still a little kid.
Yeah.
And you got a dog. That the dog was still like how you were back and forth.
Dog was a little dog, and I was back and forth. So I spent every other day for 3 months sitting, advocating for my mom, because the way that she was exhibiting was as if she was a severely schizophrenic, homeless woman off the street. That's how it, and so I had to just keep saying every day, this is a PhD psychologist from the Upper West Side. She lives alone. She goes to Broadway. She, like, just 3 days ago called me from Target. Like, this is not her normal. This is not her baseline. And literally it was and there was back then so little known about COVID in the brain. So the head of neurology, the head of psychiatry, and the head of infectious diseases were studying her. So she was like catatonic. So you would like put her hand up and it would stay there like a puppet. And so like
For how long?
This went on for 3 months. And then
No, but catatonic, I don't even really know what that means. So the hand stays up for how long?
For like maybe an hour at a time. And then, so like her arm would go up like this. She lost the ability to walk. And when I see, like, she was restrained, her hands were restrained, her belly was restrained because she was going to bite the nurses. She was positive.
No.
It was unbelievable, literally. And at one point,
And you were there? You watched this demise?
I was there, and I thought the miracle here. I mean, literally, Daniela, like at one point, the head of infectious diseases at Yale looked at me and goes, "Has your mother ever been bitten by a raccoon?" And I was like, "You have no idea what's going on with my mom, do you?" It was like at that moment.
Because they thought she had rabies?
They thought it was rabies. They thought it was Lyme. They thought, it was, a lot. And there were some days that it looks like this is your mom now. So the miracle of this, and you might remember this, Ella,
Say that again. Sorry.
the miracle, and like I'm always now talking about what is the miracle in the mud. Like if you find yourself in the mud, if you find yourself in buried, what it feels like you are buried, you are underground, it is just dirt everywhere. What is the miracle? Maybe you're a flower and you're freaking growing through that mud, right? Maybe you're just being fertilized right now. The miracle in that mud was that I hadn't spoken to my brother in 3 years at that
I remember us talking about this then. Wow.
So from that, and
Wow.
I could cry. We didn't speak for 3 years. And so he missed knowing my son. I
Oh,
missed watching him get married.
oh.
It was painful and sad and necessary. And
Yeah, I remember you really wanting it to work. You wanted to be in his life.
so 3 years had passed. And then when all of this was happening with my mom, I was like, oh shit. Is this the time I have to like tell David to come say goodbye? Like, not goodbye because her body was going to die, but her brain was. So she would never, like, this is the last. Anyway, so after 3 years, I reached out. And from that place, now it's, a year and a half later, 2 years later, I mean, we're back. We're back. And it's amazing.
He's your brother
He's
again.
my brother again. And has a full relationship with my mother. And the three of us have a full relationship. And my kids call him Uncle David. And it is a miracle that came
Yeah.
out of that trauma. My
Yeah.
mom almost dying and losing her mind.
Yeah.
Miracle reconnection with my brother. Miracle me being able to really see for the first time ever, because my mom is a high functioning woman with bipolar. Like,
Well, tell me who your mom was before all of this and, so we get a picture.
yeah. So my mom, brilliant PhD psychologist, entrepreneur, ever evolving. She had, moved into New York City, lived on the Upper West Side the last 10 years, really just always recreating herself. And growing up, there was always, let's go to Africa and bring your friends. We're going to Morocco. There was always, I found Amma, the hugging saint, and I went to India, and now I have a house at her ashram. There were always these like big idiosyncratic, like incredible things that now I'm like, oh, she was manic, like clearly. But back growing up, I never was really able to see it. And as I got older,
Well, you were a child.
when I was a child, when I was a teen, and it was only in adulthood that like we started having a lot of conflict, a lot of friction, especially when I became a mother.
Yes.
And it became those crazy things that she used to do when she was doing them with my son. No, not okay with me.
Yeah.
And so,
And also all of our stuff gets pulled out from under the the depths of our soul that were buried, that could have been buried, but now that we see these little people, there's a reckoning with the little people that we once were in the care of our own mothers.
Absolutely. And there was a lack of trust that I had with her and the kids.
Yeah.
And that changed our relationship, and it just caused a lot of tension. And so, it was hard. Me and her have had a hard road. And when I saw her in that bed, restrained, getting electric shock therapy for the first time in my life, I was able to say, this is my mom, and she has mental illness. Like, I was able to see it. Yeah. Of course, it was so exacerbated and loud, but I was able to see it, like the whole lineage of it. Like, I was able to see clearly, this is my mom. She has mental illness. Right now, it is exacerbated, but she has always had mental illness.
Yep.
And that also, miracle, healing, compassion for myself as a child, of like, wow, why did I always see control in a completely out of control environment?
Well, here are all your answers you ever wondered, right here, right now, in the middle of a pandemic. Were you pregnant at the time?
No. So I wasn't pregnant at the time. So my mom was released. So my mom was in Yale January, February, March.
Of 2020?
Of 2021.
Of 2021.
Yeah. January, February, March. She was released from Yale Psychiatric Hospital March. 1 week later, I get pregnant with Jordy.
Were you trying, or was this a surprise?
We were trying, but it
Oh
was
my gosh, of course. Right.
1 week later. I'm pregnant, and then Daniela, the next 9 months, because I'm still dealing with my mom. Like I'm still back and forth from New York City, making sure she has AIDS, making sure like all of it.
Well, she got old overnight.
She got old overnight. Exactly.
Yeah.
She got old overnight.
And you were like still 37.
Yeah.
With a young child.
Yeah. And it was like, oh, this is the time. Full-time aide. Had to sell her apartment, got her into a big 2-bedroom that could have a full-time aide. Like all of that was going on. And then I got pregnant, and the next 9 months was the worst pregnancy so it was just, and it was just like looking back, I could laugh, but like multiple trips to the emergency room, multiple like, oh, I'm going into early labor, like multiple bleeding out, horrible, terrifying.
Well, we know Jordy B is good, and so are you,
Jordy
so
B
we
is
can
good,
just be okay with it. But
Jordy B came 6 weeks early. So Jordy was.
He was like, you know what, Mom? I've had enough of this. Actually,
get me out of here.
Get me out of here. Get me out of here and into the world.
Enough. So it went from this pregnancy that was like, are you kidding? To then my water breaks 6 weeks early, and then he's in the NICU. So it has,
which is really hard.
So hard. And I just have so much compassion. First of all, he was like the biggest guy in the NICU. He was 5 pounds. He was like humongous.
Yeah.
But like NICU is a universe that is a privilege to be a part of and horrifying to be a part of. And it was really, really difficult, like leaving the hospital without my child. Like, it's just horrible. But shout out to the NICU nurses, shout out to the NICU mamas. Like, that is the stuff that is made of that makes warriors, because that is not easy. And it was not easy. And now,
all the while, you're still caring for your mother because she needs your help. The fuck?
The fuck.
And you're building a business?
Well, the business, thank God, was built. And like, shout out, thank God, to my business partner, Allie, who's also my best friend, who just really held the ship, right? We have 10 employees. This is not a small business. We have a business. And she held it all together. Like, she really gave me permission to just go and be at Yale. And then immediately from that, like, to go into a horrifying pregnancy. Immediately after that, to go into a NICU stay and a maternity leave. Like,
and your child, you have a young toddler. Like, that's a lot of demand in a new place, in a pandemic. Like, you guys, you get the picture? Yeah.
Trauma.
Yeah. It is a lot of trauma all at once. And, you know, you're big enough to hold it. That's the truth. That is the actual truth.
Yeah.
And, you know, fortunately or unfortunately, when I reached out to you, I realized, while this is like a very specific story to you, Michelle Garside, it also is indicative of this sandwich generation, this like experience that many of us have, and certainly many more will go through, where you have young children, you have elderly parents, your own needs, a husband, you know, whatever else is going on that's normal in life, building a career. And you could speak to that experience better than anyone I know.
Yeah. I just created this brand for this person. He's a thought leader in the caregiving, family caregiving space. So exactly what you're saying, like people who are caring for their elder parents, and we created this brand all around care for the giver.
Yeah.
Care for the giver. Going from caregiving to care living. Like, how do we take care of ourselves when we are so focused on taking care of those who are above or those who are below?
How did you?
I did.
I mean, or is that like a laughable question and you're like, you didn't, I like didn't. Now is now the time where you're like, well, that was not possible then. I was in the thick of trauma. I was like breathing in and out was the best I could do,
Yeah.
and
I mean,
now is the time.
absolutely. What I will say is I am so grateful that I am sober. I'm sober also, Danielle.
I know. You think I don't read your writing? I read your writing. I know
I'm
you're
so
sober. I'm proud of
grateful
you.
I was sober because if not, I would be blackout. Like I would be blackout every single day if I was not a sober person because that's how I would deal. Like, of
Right.
course. So, you know, the fact that I haven't lost the baby weight in a past life and years ago, that would be consuming me. For now, today, I'm like, okay, like it's what have done to survive. Like,
Yes.
all right. So now I hire
Food is really grounding,
food
actually.
is grounding. And if that is what I'm turning to, I'm not abusing myself with it, but I'm like comforting myself with it. Okay, it's okay.
It really is.
I
It really
really,
is.
I really feel that way the first time in my life, truly.
I was just telling Laura the same thing. She was like, "You look so beautiful," and I was like, "I think it's because I just eat whatever I want, whenever I want it, and it's the first time in my life where I'm just like okay with me. I'm like, is it bigger here? Is it smaller there? Is it pimple here? Is it? I cannot care. I have a life to lead. There are important things in this world that need my attention. I cannot be a slave to the scale."
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm yelling, but
No,
I
it's
just thought
so true. It's like
you would appreciate that.
I so appreciate it. I mean, it's so interesting. With my first with Riker Bear, I literally was uh, in a flywheel member competition up until 8.5 months. I
Yeah,
needed to get on the plaque at in flywheel.
yeah. No, I know.
And then
Oh
after
yeah.
literally as soon as I got clearance to work out, like 6 weeks after whatever, back in flywheel, like front row, here we go.
Yeah, and I called that health, and I called that self care, and maybe it was, and maybe it wasn't. I don't know. I'm not that person anymore. But, whew,
I'm not that person anymore. And like I'm not that person anymore. And it's wild that I'm not. Like I still have these just like awe, wonder moments. I was just talking to my therapist, Mark. Shout out to Mark.
ooh, a male
I
therapist.
know
Interesting.
he's amazing.
I bet.
I
Only
know.
the best
Yeah,
for Michelle Garside.
he's amazing. But he I was saying it's so wild. Like I was sitting out at my pool with my two
Mm.
kids and my mom, and like I'm not just alone in a room binging and purging watching Bravo. Like it is crazy to me.
No, it's a miracle. It's a fucking miracle. In your beautiful home, like, and even just like the past 2 years that you detailed, like, that's a lot for anyone. And what's kind of amazing, and I do feel like, I don't know, the addict mind is sort of interesting, and you and I both share it. And I think like it says it in the big book somewhere that like actually addicts are usually very high functioning. That like even in addiction, even I didn't go down the alcoholic route or narcotics or anything like that. And although, blessings to all the recovered souls who have, I'm like so proud of you. But like even drunk, even high, even binging, and like a slave to flywheel. Shout out to Flywheel, who actually is wonderful. I'm, like I didn't mean to use you in any sort of perverse way, but
Love you.
like even under all that duress, the system functions pretty well most of the time. Now, what happens? Like you said, the first thing that you said, well, I'm so glad I'm sober. That was a lot of demand on your system, and like the first thing you said, thank God I'm sober. It just really allowed you to be the exemplary, exceptional person that you are. That sometimes I think with addicts, like, whoa, there's so much greatness in me. How do I dampen it?
Totally.
And you just allowed yourself to be it.
Yeah. Thank you. it's interesting what you say about addicts and the ability to hold so much. One of my like monikers used to be like, I thrive in chaos. Literally, I would like say that.
Trauma response.
I would say that.
Casual trauma response.
Yeah. Like when work stuff was going crazy, soul camp was going crazy, whatever it was, right? When my son was going crazy, I thrive in chaos. Like, I got this. And like, after the past few years, let that no longer be what I say. Like, I do not need to thrive in chaos. I do not want to be so resilient enough. No. Like, I want to sit by my pool and have friends over.
With your mom and your 2 kids, and have French fries if you want to have French fries.
It's wild. It's wild. Again, only a few years ago, I was binging and purging by myself repeatedly in a room watching Bravo, trying to take myself off of seamlessweb.com and delivery.com to try to prevent myself from ordering more. Like,
and even then we all knew you had the special sauce. Even you did. That's the interesting thing. Even in the darkest days, even you did. And that's why you could get yourself out, no? That like little whisper.
Yeah, I think there was a whisper. And I ignored it because I wanted to numb. It was easier to be in this state of not fully here.
Yeah.
And
disassociating.
And like, yeah, I'm fully here. And it's hard sometimes, and it's wonderful sometimes, and it's painful sometimes, and it's hurt sometimes, but I'm living it. I'm alive.
You're alive.
Insane. And I said to the women at Sedona, because like one of the questions was like, how do we like live with more joy? And like I said, God, universe, spirit, whatever you want to call it, gave us all of these emotions, right? We're able to be happy, sad, confused, fearful, angry. Do you think we're just supposed to use one? Like, do you think we're just supposed to experience happiness all the time? What about everything else we've been given? We're supposed to feel it all. We have this amazing ability to be a soul in a human body that gets to experience anger, that gets to experience sadness. Experience it. We're not just supposed to experience joy. Like, that's just one finger.
I think it's probably why you're great at your job, because you understand what the longing for the solution is. And if someone has an actual solution, then you could put words to it, that's what a great marketer does.
Yeah.
A great storyteller does. But yeah, we need those feelings. We need those feelings.
Yeah. They're the fuel to our life. And I used to be someone who just wanted to feel bliss. Like, put me in a meditation, put me on a ski slope, put me on I just want to feel bliss all the time. Bliss, bliss, bliss. And I no longer want that. And that's a big shift for me. I don't want to bypass my human experience. Life is hard right now. There's crazy shit going on in this country. I don't want to just meditate my way away from it. I want to feel angry. I should. I shouldn't say should, but I want to feel angry. Right?
Well, I don't know if I'm okay with I should,
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I think that's a sign of health. That is that if you're bulldozing my boundaries and those of the people I love, I should feel angry. It's the nervous system saying, gear up. Right?
Absolutely.
I'm really hearing, first of all, I want to say how grateful I am that you work in the wellness space, and that you are a big player in how healers, coaches, mentors, guides speak to the public, and how they speak about themselves and all of this, because your holistic perspective is so useful. And it's not woo-woo. It's not woo woo. And we've tried it. We've tried the green juices. We've tried the over exercising. We've tried the mantras. And what we need is reality. What we
Totally.
need is reality. And we need healers and mentors and guides and sisters to hold our hand in reality and say, you are big enough to hold this. If you weren't, it wouldn't be yours.
I mean, Danielle, you so walk that talk in every way, truly. And
I really appreciate that.
yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people, and I know authenticity when I see it, and that is you. And yeah, like, it is no longer the time for just manifest anything, manifestation, bliss, 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 universe, universe, let me go to 5D. No. Like,
No.
we are here, we are now, and like, our task is to excavate what is the message within us that our story, our background, what we've gone through, what we know has led us to speak, right? What is the pain that becomes our purpose? What is the mess that becomes our message? What are our wounds that can become our wisdom? And it's ours to tell. And then put words to that, and that's your brand, or that's your whatever, right? You know, I do it from a brand perspective, but what it is it's a soul's purpose, dharma perspective. What are you here to do? What are you here to teach, to be? Even if you're not a teacher, an author, an expert, you're a person. What are you here to share with those around you, your community, your family, your children? And it's now needed more than ever, authentic, genuine, reality-based messaging, because the other has not worked, as we see in the world.
It's dissociative. It's dissociative. And it's not that it doesn't come from a good place. We want to feel happy. We want to feel skinny because like that looks happy and good and comfortable. You know, we want to feel experience all these things that the wellness community or that the spiritual community wants to help with. There's no one's trying to, hurt anybody, but the spiritual bypassing has not worked. It has not worked. I see it in you. You experience this. Really, I mean, it's really gut wrenching to hear what you had to witness with your own mother while you were mothering.
Yeah.
Really gut wrenching.
Yeah.
And it is life.
It is life.
It is life. And so much of like what we sometimes have these conversations around motherhood, for whatever reason, death is always a part of the conversation because it's so high stakes. Fear of death, just like sitting right in between, like the newness and the oldness.
Totally. And
and
I will say, watching my mom now, because she experienced the close to deathness, not just in those 3 months, but after, she's had lasting effects that that have been really scary, and that we've been having the conversation really up until recently, up until last month, around like visiting assisted living houses, visiting these just different homes, right, for her to have more full-time care. And we're no longer in that conversation, and something has definitely shifted, but she got so close to that now she's like, I am going to live.
Right.
Oh, she was one of the 18 women. She went to Sedona. She signed up for Hawaii. She's going on. She's like, I'm living my bucket list. And sometimes it takes, that's why it's like that rock bottom, be it in actual fear of death or closeness to death, or in addiction or in pain or in suffering, that can wake you up if you let it, and bring you closer to life. Really.
I don't know if you've had this experience with your mom, but it sounds like you might have. But recently we had a scare with mine where, we thought she was like really, really, really sick. And all of a sudden, all of those resentments that I was holding about her imperfection around motherhood, and it's something I've grappled with for the past 5 years, because I'm now a mother, so I have a lot of compassion for her, and I have a lot of still resentment, you know, like no childhood was perfect, and that sucks. But but really, sitting in that oncologist's office, I was like, oh my God, the breakfasts. Oh my God,
Oh,
how my son loves her. Oh my God, like it all came rifling through. Oh my God, the kindness. Oh my God, how many times she tried. Oh my God.
what
This is the gift of a near death experience.
absolutely.
I was totally blind
What
to
a
the
blessing.
full reality of my relationship with my own mother.
What a blessing. So many people have to wait for death for that reckoning. And for both of us to have had that reckoning, the cracking open of our heart to allow for compassion for ourselves and our mother while they're still here
Yeah.
is amazing.
The narrative has shifted for me completely. I mean, it's really, I don't,
Yeah.
you tell me your bit, and it doesn't have to be the same, obviously, but oh my God, that narrative has shifted from like, she was the best mom, her cooking, and what? And I believe, it's so interesting. I believe it. And it is true. Like, it was such a lesson for me in perspective.
My
Because it's not that the other stuff was so false. It's not. And I've done quite a lot of healing in my life. But the narrative now that I could not have her around has opened up to all the many, many, many times that she was kind and she was generous and she was loving and she was fun. And it's like so much more skewed that way now.
I love that. My therapist, keep going back to my therapist, but he just said,
Love him.
because I was talking about my mom and how different I feel too. And he said he is a student of A Course in Miracles. And he said, what A Course in Miracles says is that forgiveness can change the timeline.
Yeah.
Forgiveness and acceptance can truly alter the timeline and create miracles in that.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel. I feel like there has been a rewriting.
Rewriting, yeah.
And it's amazing. And how lucky. How lucky are we?
You know, I have a meditation teacher who he teaches in the Vedic tradition, and in the Vedas, past, present, and future aren't in a horizontal line; they're in a vertical line, meaning they're happening like all at once. It's all happening right now in the present, actually.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and he says that the one step better than forgiveness is like forgetting. We don't have to forget all of the wrongdoings that have been done to us. Let's just keep that in mind. We don't have to forgive abusers, etc. We do not have to forgive. But a pretty amazing miracle that could happen when you do have a perspective shift, which I think is the definition of a miracle in A Course in Miracles,
Yeah.
is that I literally forgot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what life and death can do for the psyche.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
That is profound and true.
So, we're gonna wrap it up.
Whoa. Whoosh.
What a great day. Therapy and just a good old heart to heart.
I love you so much.
Love you too. Are there parting words of wisdom for the listener?
Yes. Which is life is happening for you, not to you. So everything, the trauma, the mud, the hardship, it's all happening for you. And our job is, as my friend Jennifer Pascalov says, We have to become beauty hunters. We have to hunt for the beauty. Like I say, we have to mine for the magic in the mud. So if you find yourself in the mud, in the trauma, in the pain, you ask yourself, how is this happening for me in some way? To wake me up, to bring me to a rock bottom, whatever. I truly believe that living that way creates more liberation and freedom for all of us.
Hmm. Where can we find you?
Find me. First of all, come over, Easton, Connecticut.
Yes. Yeah, like those parties look really fun. Legit.
It's
colorful.
Legit. Like I'll invite you to Halloween. It's going to be next level.
I cannot wait.
Yeah. So soulcampcreative.com is all things creating your dream, bringing it to life. Soulcampcreative.com. If you're interested in coming to Hawaii with us, enchantmentexperience.com. All things magic in Hawaii. And then find me on Instagram at the Michelle Garside or at soul_camp. But Soul Camp Creative is the best way in. So definitely check that out.
I mean, I love your personal writing, so I'm gonna give a pitch for at the Michelle Garside. But thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for your whole heart. For all of the notes on the piano, you know?
Oh.
Thank you for living it.
I love you.
I love you too. Can't wait to party. Legit. Cannot wait.